Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we'll be doing a deep dive into the best blade teams the community have discovered, which take full advantage of his insane skill point economy. In this video we'll be covering his best solo team, his best duo DPS team, and of course his best free-to-play teams most importantly. Also included is a comparison between his best supports and himself using their signature and 4-star alternatives. To ensure all the teams you're about to see work, make sure your characters have their 3 bonus abilities unlocked and some reasonable relics in order to perform their role. And if you don't know how Blade works, you can check out my guide to unlock his full potential so he's dealing maximum damage. First up is Blade's best hyper carry team, intended to maximize his own personal damage, utilizing the incredibly powerful combination of Blade and his best support, Bronya. In Blade's teams, Bronya grants him effectively double speed or double actions thanks to her skill, which that alone is a double damage multiplier. She also grants him a ton of increased damage and crit damage though, which further increases her value for him, resulting after everything in a roughly 150% more damage multiplier for those 2 units alone. In order to make this combo work though, you need to ensure Bronya is 1 or 2 speed points slower than Blade at all times, and in Memory of Chaos, you should aim for your Blade to be at 122 or 123 speed, with Bronya at 121 speed, or if you're really well geared, have your Blade at 135 speed or 136 speed, and your Bronya at 134 speed. In this composition, Silverwolf is exceptional, as Blade already has plenty of increased damage scaling and doesn't scale off attack, so her Def Shred and Res Shred is a massive multiplier to Blade, which he can't really find anywhere else. She's incredibly easy to use in this composition, as even with Bronya spamming her skill, there's plenty of skill points left over for Silverwolf. Finally, we have Luocha, the king of healing, who can keep the entire team alive without using a single skill point, meaning, of course, we have more skill points for Bronya and Silverwolf. Without Luocha, we wouldn't get as much flexibility with Silverwolf. For high investment, I tested Blade with his signature, Silverwolf with her signature, Bronya with her signature, and Luocha with his signature. For lower investment, I tested Blade with S1 Secret Vow, Silverwolf with S5 of her Event Light Cone, and Bronya with an S1 Planetary Rendezvous. And you can use whatever light cone you want on your Luocha. Additionally, for this comparison, all the characters were at Eidolon 0. Alright, so let me show you guys how this team actually performs. And first up is high investment, featuring the signatures. Alright, so kicking things off here, we're of course starting with all of our techniques, and we're going to enter the battle with Blade's technique to get an extra stack of Shuhu's Gift, which is incredibly important as we want to try and trigger the AoE nuke as fast as possible, and if possible on cycle 0 to get that AoE damage and get a 0 cycle clear in endgame. And we've already got 4 stacks of Shuhu's Gift, there's the 5th, we're going to trigger a massive follow-up attack there for 72k, and that's without any buffs. So we've got Bronya coming up next with the boost, which isn't really even needed, but we can boost Blade here, and we're going to save that ultimate here so that we can use it on the following wave because we don't even need it. So that was easy as pie, cleaned it out, no problems here. So now we're going to be focusing on debuffing this enemy up as much as possible with Silverwolf, with her skill, with the ultimate, getting that res and Def Shred there. We're continuously stacking up Shuhu's Gifter, we're already back up to 3 stacks here. We've got our Bronya ultimate ready, and we're also going to be popping Luocha's ultimate here to get a bit of break and also get that field back and reactivate it so we can heal our Blade up. Now we're not going to be going ahead and using the ultimate here, but instead saving it for when Bronya's going to boost Blade so we can get some extra damage on it here. And we're going to go ahead and use that and get a massive 110k crit there, straight into a 91k Shuhu's Gift, which is completely ridiculous. And then into a 70k enhanced basic attack. Of course, that is just ridiculous damage, and we kill that. We're still not even using a cycle here. Remember, this is all at E0 on every character. So here we've got Silverwolf, of course, doing her debuff shenanigans. We're going to go ahead and debuff the left-hand monster here. And we're going to be trying to get that healing field back up with the Luocha here. There it is. So we're basically going to be immune for the rest of this duration of this field, of course. So this sanctioned robot can be a bit annoying if Blade gets crowd controlled, but overall it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've got Shuhu's gift there activating and healing him back up a ridiculous amount. We do have the ultimate available again, so we can go ahead and pop that with our Bronya boost here, getting another massive damage boost and another huge nuke here. Now we don't have Bronya's ultimate up, so it didn't hit quite as hard, and we didn't get all of the crits we wanted, but it's definitely not bad either though. Going ahead and using some enhanced basics, and we've almost got Shuhu's gift up again. Now unfortunately, because Blade is crowd controlled here, we're stuck on 5 stacks, but that's another reason that Bronya is so good, because when Bronya comes around, she can advance Blade, reduce the time he's going to be crowd controlled, and then he'll be buffed while also activating that Shuhu's gift, so it's going to be pretty great. We also do have Bronya's ultimate already ready, and we are of course using Silverwolf's ultimate here to get this guy debuffed and defense shredded. So pretty much we're following up, trying to get this done in 0 cycles, but not quite. If Blade didn't get crowd controlled, maybe you could do it in 0 cycles, but that's definitely going to probably require a little bit more gear. But we're definitely going to get it done in at least 1 cycle nonetheless, thanks to the massive damage that we've got stored up here. So big Shuhu's gift, 131k there, and those fish are going to explode, shredding the defense on the robot and the ghost here. And now we should be able to get our ultimate up pretty quickly with this Blade here, and that should pretty much finish us out here. As long as we don't die to these monsters, we should be pretty much good to go. But GrimroGacha looks like he's going to be able to get his field back up here. Oh, we don't actually get it, but it should be just fine anyway here. So Silverwolf debuff into a Blade ultimate should seal the deal and get us a 1 cycle clear on side 1 here, which is a phenomenal performance for E0 Blade. Granted, he has his signature, Bronya does too, and Silverwolf, but we'll see how they perform without them as well. Straight after completing that, I decided to pit this same team against side 2, and they were able to complete that side as well, containing Kafka in 1 cycle as well. I then repeated the test with the lower investment setup using 4 starlight cones with identical relics and gameplay, and I got it done in 3 cycles on both sides instead of 1, meaning you absolutely do not need the 5-star signatures for this team to operate at a very high level. So what if you still want to run Hyper Carry Blade, but you don't have all the characters you need? Well, you're absolutely going to need Blade, and I do recommend having Bronya, as no one really brings what she brings, but you can definitely substitute GrimroGacha and Silverwolf for a bit of a performance loss. You can swap out GrimroGacha for Bailu or Natasha, but keep in mind they're going to have to use some skill points to keep the team up, and you can swap out Silverwolf for Pella. This is a good transition because the skill points required for the healer can be made up for Pella, who won't be using her skill like Silverwolf, but will instead be using basic attacks instead, which fixes the skill point discrepancy and makes the team work just as normal. Hypercarry Blade was my favorite among the teams I tested, and based on my experience with the light cone test, the light cone certainly felt exceptionally powerful, using a signature on Blade, Bronya, and Silverwolf, taking a 3 cycle clear to a 1 cycle clear, but it didn't feel like they were required to make the team viable. You'll definitely lose a bit of damage not having them, but you could be pulling other characters, and the team still felt exceptionally powerful and incredibly fun. For the upcoming teams, because we've got the testing out of the way, we're going to be focusing primarily on mechanics and understanding how the teams work, as opposed to specific Eidolon levels and light cones. Next up is the strongest double damage composition the community has brought to the forefront so far. It's a Blade Sail team with Bronya or Silverwolf as the support and GrimroGacha as the healer. GrimroGacha is there and almost necessary to generate the required skill points to make these teams work, as you're running Sail, who is incredibly skill point intensive, and also Bronya or Silverwolf, who also wants some skill points. It's a bit of a balancing act, but it is absolutely one of the strongest teams you can run right now in Blade, and shows him off in a great sub DPS capacity. Out of all the teams I tested, this is definitely the one that felt like it had the strongest potential, but was also the highest investment. In addition to that, it did feel a bit wasteful pairing Sally and Blade together, as they are of course 2 of the strongest damage dealers, and it's probably a better idea to split them up if you've got both of these guys on your account, at least for now when the limited 5-star DPS are a few and far between. However, the team was strong, so let's break it down. The reason this team is so strong is the interaction between the immense AoE from Blade and the exceptional single target from Sally. So you have both areas covered. There's also another interaction which is also phenomenal. Blade does a ton of AoE damage just by being Blade, and it gets a lot of adds which end up in the fight very low. One of the biggest issues for this team is skill points, and those adds which Blade gets low, Seele can pick them off with her basic attacks, gaining an advanced action forward, and also gaining skill points while getting energy on kill and triggering resurgence, giving her a ton of momentum and getting the skill points you need for this team to work. So overall, Blade and Seele are kind of like peanut butter and jelly, where you just go together so great. And the Blade single target kind of lower end of things, which sometimes pops up, not heaps but sometimes, is easily solved by Seele. Now you pair both of these guys with a support. In this case, the best teams are using Bronya and Silver Wolf, and the reason for that is that Bronya and Silver Wolf can buff both of them at the same time. Silver Wolf specifically is best at this. She can debuff a single enemy and make them resistant down and also defense down, which is going to give you a ton of damage increase for both of your damaging characters. But Bronya can also do a similar thing with her ultimate. Both characters scale off crit damage, which is great, and of course Seele likes the attack boost. And you can give Blade or Seele the Bronya boost themselves and give them that big damage window. You want to aim for this on Seele when she has her ultimate active and you're going on a big resurgence spree, and you want to use it on Blade every other time. You should pretty much have enough skill points to spare, assuming there's adds in the fight to use Bronya's skill every turn, and Luocha's gonna fuel the fight as well. Of course, if you don't have Luocha, then it's gonna be a little bit harder to consistently use Bronya every action, but if you do have him, that's kind of how the team plays out. So as for substitutions for this team, it's a little bit harder because you are much more strapped for skill points, but you can absolutely sub out Bronya or Silver Wolf for pretty much any support which can benefit both of your damaging characters. And if you do go for a skill point positive one like Pella, you can of course sub your healer out and not use Luocha and use a slightly skill point negative or neutral healer like Bailu or Natasha, but it's definitely going to be a little bit harder because the requirements for these kinds of teams with selling them are definitely a little bit tighter. Alright, so last up is the strongest way I've seen the community build free-to-play teams so far, and there's a lot in common with the double damage setup we saw earlier. So most people are using these kinds of teams when they don't have access to Bronya, who really is the heart of the hyper carry Blade team. That's when you'd start putting these into effect. And the idea is pretty similar as mentioned. We're looking for AoE from Blade. He's gonna get rid of that trash, no problems, all by himself. And we're looking for a single target powerhouse who can kind of make the clear a little bit faster and really target down the elites and focus on that. And we have quite a lot of 4-star options. Here I'm using Hook, and she is pretty damn good, and I got some pretty good performance with them. The remaining 2 slots are of course dedicated to a support who can provide damage to both your damage dealers, and of course your healer, who is very important for keeping Blade alive but also the team alive. Now if we're talking lower investment, you're not going to have access to Luocha, so it's going to be either Natasha or Bailu if you're lucky. And both these characters obviously need a few skill points themselves unless you have incredible gear or you're not fighting the hardest content yet. And in order to fuel your single target 4-star damage dealer or whoever you've got on your account and your healer, the best choice which I've seen people go for and the most logical choice is Pella. She can be fully skill point positive, and of course she can debuff the enemy and buff up both your damage dealers. So the team is generally Blade, a 4-star single target damage dealer, Pella, and Natasha or Bailu. When playing this team, skill points are absolutely pretty damn smooth thanks to Pella's presence in the team. She's fully skill point positive, and if she's fast enough, you're going to have plenty of skill points to play around with. Your healer is likely going to be basic attacking every other turn, so you'll have plenty of time to use your skill to heal and ultimate as well, which should keep your whole team healthy. All of this while allowing Blade to use his Hellscape, and of course your DPS carry who's coming along to use their skill every single turn. This results in strong AoE as well as good single target and some pretty nice AoE debuffs, with an opportunity to use your healer's skill very frequently, offering some pretty decent defense as well. So in my team, I of course used Hook, but overall you can use any strong single target damaging character you like in this slot. As long as they don't have any other team dependencies like Yangqing does on needing to be shielded, they're pretty much good to go and going to be a pretty good partner for Blade. Some other ones I've seen a lot of people get a lot of success out of is using characters like Danheng or Su Shang, and even characters like QQ, who I've definitely seen thrive quite a lot. Of course, there's absolutely nothing stopping you using any DPS character in this slot, support, so even some other 5 stars like Welt or Clara can be totally strong if you want to go with that playstyle. Use what you've got and what performs best for you. Out of the gates, Blade is one of the most flexible damaging characters we've seen in the game so far, having great AoE and single target, and being able to be paired with other single target characters, even ones who have exceptionally high skill point costs, is a massive perk in his favor. He's also strong enough to be part of hyper carry teams, meaning he has a lot of open-ended potential. He could be strong with new supports, but he could also be exceptionally strong with new damage dealers, especially if there's any others who manipulate life totals or have a potential to give him even more stacks of Shuhu's gift and his talent. Did you notice any teams that I missed? Make sure to comment them down below so we can all learn from your experiences, especially if you've got a good one cooking which is working real well for you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, good luck with your pulls, and until next time, cheers.